This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello, everybody. Crispy Bacon here, and welcome to On Deck here on Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am here with America Sub, Greg. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Crispy. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing good. We got about 2 months left of the season. It's going by really quick. What's your thoughts on your team and getting ready for the the playoffs, if anything?
Well, my thoughts about my team are a lot more positive than they were at the start of the season. My Cardinals have really turned it around. We picked up some pitching, put some runs on the board, been making some small moves, but just picking up some extra young arms, for the pitching rotation and for the bullpen has really helped a lot. We haven't really made a whole lot of moves as far as picking up a lot of big time hitters or anything, but I think the pitching was where we needed to really focus our attention, and it's paying off right now. We're getting some good wins, and we're definitely in the playoff hunt. I mean, it looked like we were dead in the water, first month of the season, but I thought that we were going to go into a complete rebuild, and now things are kind of turning around and looking pretty good.
Yeah, I wish I could say the same thing for the Rangers. I'm glad that St. Louis, they're getting back into the swing of things. Um, had a rough beginning of the year, and now they seem like they are doing a lot better. But as fortunately for the Rangers, where I'm at, we're not doing too well, and we are battling Seattle. And right now, looking at the standings, and we'll look at everybody, in depth here in a minute. We're in third place. We're about 5.5 games back of the division, 9.5 of the wild card. So it's not looking too good. Didn't do too much, and during the trade deadline. As far as right now, I don't think we're gonna make the playoffs, unfortunately. Another team that's definitely not making the playoffs, Chicago White Sox. Sorry, Dave. Uh, they relieved their manager and they hired a new one. Today actually. Uh, great, Grady Sizemore, I think it is. You know anything about the move?
I don't know a whole lot about the move. I mean, I heard about it this morning that Grady Sizemore is now the new manager of the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think that this is really a managerial issue. I mean, a little bit can be put on the shoulders of the manager, but I think that a lot of this comes from the front office, not putting together a very good team. Not making critical moves to try to bolster your lineup, sending people away. Not getting much in return. I think that that's more at play than whoever's managing the team. I think that Grady Sizemore, he's a pretty capable player in the bigs for a while. He wasn't an outstanding player, but I think that he's a good guy for I think that he's good for morale. I think he gets along with the younger players. I think that he'll be kind of good to just kind of keep the keep the bullpen and keep it loose in the dugout. Um, he has a seriousness about him, but I think that he gets along well. I think he's more in line like a player's coach. And I think that even though it's a tough season and they're just trying to grind out these last 2 months, I think that maybe a new manager, new change of pace might be good for them. I don't really see them picking up a whole lot of wins towards the end of the season, but maybe something different will give them a little bit more of a lease on life come this off season.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know if it is really a managerial move or it could be personnel, but right now they are at the bottom of the standings uh, of the Central AL Central, 28 and 89. They're 40 and a half games out of the division, 36 and a half in the wild card. I don't think it's looking.
No, it's not looking too
And then
good. They just don't have a whole lot of depth. They have some outstanding talent on the team, but you have a few outstanding players. You have a really good pitcher in Garrett Crochet, um, and you have a few decent bats in your lineup. But other than that, they just don't have a lot of depth and enough consistency to go out there and try to compete every night.
that is true. And then Adam Barber commented, did you hear, basically about the news of Billy Bean? First I've heard of that today. I'm trying to get information on it. You know anything on it?
I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know if he's referring to Billy Bean, the former general manager, the Moneyball manager for the Oakland A's, or the former outfielder. I think he played for the Padres. I know there was two Billy Beans out there in Major League Baseball. So
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking it up as we're doing the show, but in the meantime, let's look at the standings in full. AL East, of course, you got the Yankees up on, in first place. You got the six, they're 68 and 47. Baltimore's 68 and 48. Uh, Boston sitting in third. You got Tampa Bay in fourth, and Toronto closing things out in last in the East. 3 and 62. They are 15 games back from the division and 10 and a half from the wild card. I think it's safe to say that the Yankees are most likely going to make the playoffs as a top spot in the AL East.
yeah,
You
I
think so?
think that the Yankees definitely are in the mix, but I wouldn't count out the Orioles. Last year, the Orioles were behind a little bit. And then down the stretch, they went on a tear and ended up winning their division. So I wouldn't count the Orioles out. They picked up a little bit more pitching depth. And so, um, they have three or four really good arms in their starting rotation now, which is something that they didn't have last year. The addition of Corbin Burns, um, has really put a lot of life into that lineup. Grayson Rodriguez has good stuff, and so I think that picking up Eflin from Tampa Bay was a really, really good move. He has a lot of good stuff. He gets a lot of good outs. Not always blows the ball right by you, but he has some good strikeout stuff. So I think that the Orioles are going to make yet another push to win the division. But yeah, those two teams are definitely, um, way ahead of everybody else in that division.
That's true. I did find news on Billy Bean coming from the MLB on August 6th. We are deeply saddened by the passing of our friend and colleague Billy Bean. Billy Bean, MLB Senior VP of Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion, and Special Assistant to the Commissioner. Uh, he passed away at 60. He was suffering with a long battle of acute myeloid leukemia. So that is sad news. Very sad news.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Greg?
Um, no, I mean it is really sad. You have someone that's given a lot to the game of baseball, and has worked in various roles in Major League Baseball. He's definitely going to be missed. It's just sad when you see a life taken. That is a fairly short life, and we never know when our day is up. We never know when our number's called. But you know, it's just really sad when you hear something like that. To me, it's sad to hear about all death, but um, I I don't feel as bad when I hear about someone passing away at like 88 years old versus someone 60, 62 years old. Um, so
Mhm.
it's definitely a sad day in baseball. Definitely somebody that was doing great things for the game of baseball. So
That's right. He played for the Tigers, Dodgers, and the Padres. Those were the three teams he played for.
okay.
Moving on back to the standings. We're moving on to the Central. You got Cleveland Guardians who are sitting in first. Minnesota's in second. Kansas City's in third. Detroit fourth, and we talked about Chicago White Sox. They are in last place. Uh, it's a tight race right now between first and second, and I guess you can say third. Uh, Cleveland sitting on top. Minnesota's has a 3.5 game lead in second, and then the Royals are in third place with 4 games behind in the standings. Who's going to come out the victor in that division? I know it's too early right now, but
Well, I think that it's the Cleveland Guardians division to lose. I mean, I haven't been able to figure out the Guardians all year long. They just seem to be a team that's destined to win a lot of baseball games. They have good pitching. They don't have a ton of like huge all-star names. They don't have a really huge budget, in comparison to the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Phillies, or the Braves. But they're just a team that goes out and they're competitive and they fight hard and they play hard and they're just putting together a lot of wins. And they have young pitching, but they have young pitching that's not making a lot of mistakes. Um, they just seem to be like one of those scrappy teams. I think that they are this year's Arizona Diamondbacks. I think last year the Diamondbacks kind of showed how far a team could go that might not be the best team on paper, but they had a lot of heart. They had a lot of players that were hungry and went out there and played hard and were scrappy every night. And I think that's what we're seeing with the Cleveland Guardians. So I think that if the pitching holds up, everybody stays healthy. I think that the Guardians are playing probably right now the best baseball in Major League Baseball.
It's hard. I think every year we have that one team where it's like in any sport, but including baseball, where we're just like, I don't know who they are. I mean, you could have pitching issues. You could be really good with pitching, but not the defense. It could be just, everything, or it could just be one or the other. Kind of like the AL West. We all, I think James said it, kind of best when he was talking about his Angels, who are in, fourth place. That his team could have been in first place, but then Houston's probably going to catch up. And I kind of had the same thinking with the Rangers that yeah, we could probably be in first place, but then Houston could probably take over. And right now they are in first place. 59 and 55 is their record. Second is Seattle, 59 and 56. Rangers are in third. James's Angels are in fourth. And the Oakland A's. I think we all knew this heading into the season. They would be in last place, and they are. 48 and 68 is their record. Right now, I kind of see a three-team battle for a playoff spot, or at least a division title. Houston, Seattle, and Texas. Uh, who do you think is going to come out victorious?
You know, a few weeks ago I said that Seattle was, just because they have a little bit better rotation, I think, than the Astros. But the Mariners have been so light hitting of late. You know, the one thing that they really needed at the trade deadline, they needed to pick up more hitting. They got a little bit more of that, but they're just a team that's not really making a lot of hard contact. I don't know if Logan Gilbert and Castillo and company are going to be quite enough to get them over the hump. They do have decent pitching, but they're hitting. You know, they're just not getting a lot of run support. So I think that the Astros might make a push if they get a few other guys back healthy in the lineup.
They could. I mean, I kind of see, and it's unfortunate for me to say it, but I think Houston's probably gonna take the division. I don't see, uh, Texas winning it, but Houston can probably come back and take it too. Seattle. I'm gonna say Houston and Seattle probably gonna be 1 and 2. I'm not sure about Texas. Texas could be the wild card in that division, so to speak. Um, as we head to the AL East or NL East, Philadelphia is in first place, followed by the Mets, Adams, Atlanta Braves. You got the Washington Nationals, and closing things out is the Miami Marlins. I think it's Philadelphia's division to lose. You think that?
I definitely feel it's Philadelphia's to lose. They built such a big lead. They've lost a few games off that lead. As of late, they haven't got off to the best start after the All Star break. They're kind of sliding a little bit. Their bats have been coming around a little bit the past few games, but I definitely think that it's theirs to lose. They have a really good lineup from the top down, very well balanced. They have decent pitching, but they don't have outstanding pitching. But I think that they have a little bit more. A little bit more talent and a little bit more depth at this point, especially with the Braves losing Acuna for the year. So I think that even though the Mets and the Braves are going to put up a good fight, I think that the Phillies have enough firepower that they should take this division.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to see the Braves do it again, at least win the division, but who knows? And I think Miami needs to just clean house. Nothing's working. They got 43 and 73 is their record. You think they should just, clean house, so to speak?
Well, they've cleaned house to an extent. They got rid of the one really bright spot in their lineup, which was Jazz Chisholm. They sent him packing. Yeah, they don't have they don't have much for pitching. They have a couple decent guys. Cabrera, throws hard and has good stuff. But yeah, they just I don't know what they need to do. They're looking more like a triple A team out there instead of a major league team. So they definitely need to maybe dip into their pocketbooks and get some really more viable players out there if they want to compete, because they just have a lot of discount discount guys or thrift store guys, I would say, out there. They're just trying to get by. They're just like one notch above the A's, for spending money. So they need to get it together and maybe trade a few guys for something better. They definitely need to make some moves and get a little bit more pop in their lineup. That's for sure.
They do, and I think at this point in the season, just try things. It doesn't matter. I mean, we'll look at the wild card standings in a minute, but just keep trying and see what you can do in 2025. Next up, we're heading to your division, the NL Central. Milwaukee's in first place. Then you have the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Cubs. Been up and down this season. They're in fourth place. And then the Cincinnati Reds are in the bottom of the barrel, 56 and 59. Uh, can Cincinnati climb up to at least fourth?
I definitely think that Cincinnati has enough to climb up to fourth. I mean, when you look at their pitching rotation, Loloto's an upcoming outstanding talent. Andrew Abbott has good stuff. Hunter Green is definitely becoming a perennial all-star. He has excellent strikeout stuff. He's good for at least 6 strikeouts a night. So they are building up some depth. They have one of the most electrifying players in the business right now in Ellie De La Cruz. He's a guy that can steal a couple bases. He doesn't even have to hit a double or anything to to keep going. Just walk him or get him on first, and next thing you know, he's on third. So they definitely have some good pieces. I think that they're one of those fun teams to watch. They don't um, they don't win more than they lose, but they're usually pretty competitive in most of their games. And I think that they're yet another team that's just missing that big bopper in their lineup. They need that huge bat. I think Ellie De La Cruz is a great start, and they have some other good role players. But I definitely think that they have enough to maybe surpass the Pirates and kind of move up a little bit. They haven't been playing too bad the last few weeks.
No, they haven't, and neither have the Cubs. I think pretty much every team in that division has been playing better. It's just about who, if like Milwaukee can stay in first place. I think that's what everybody's looking for. A team that is definitely looking to be staying in first place, unfortunately, in the NL West is the Dodgers. Then you have the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Giants, and the Rockies. I kind of feel like it's a 1-2, or maybe 3 teams, but at least 2. I'm going to put it in the Dodgers, Padres, and maybe the Diamondbacks fighting for the division title. You can probably see, most likely the Dodgers be that top team in the division, and maybe you could see the Padres in there. How many teams do you think would be in the playoffs for the West?
I think we're only going to see 2. I think that the Dodgers are and the Padres. The Padres are making a pretty good run this year. They're playing really good ball. They ended up getting a lot of good potential and some prospects out of that trade when they moved Soto onto New York. So I think that the Padres picking up Cease, was a good move, and I think that they have some decent pitching. Waldron's pretty good. Um, I think that they have a pretty decent lineup. They don't have the three-headed monster that they had last year, but they're winning more games than they were last year. So Tatis and Machado are getting it done, and then some of your secondary players are also having good years this year. But I think that if the injury bug doesn't keep hitting the Dodgers, I think that they're going to take the division.
Yeah, it's unfortunate though that they could, the Dodgers would most likely uh, take the division, but who knows? As we look at games, tonight and maybe what's coming up tomorrow, you had the Giants and Nationals play. Giants won 9-5. Braves or Brewers beat the Braves 16-7. No, that's not a typo. 16-7 was the final. Mets and Rockies faced off. 9-1 was the score. Mets won that game. Padres and the Pirates faced off. One run victory for the Padres as they beat Pittsburgh 7-6. Going on right now in extra innings, 10th inning right now. The Reds and Nationals. It looks like, I believe it's a final. 10-4 is your score. I'm assuming it was 4-4, and then Cincinnati, scored a bunch of runs. And then you have the Angels and the Yankees. 9-4 was your score, and Los Angeles Angels won that matchup. Tampa Bay and St. Louis. Unfortunately, Tampa Bay won that matchup 6-4. You got Baltimore and Toronto. Another one-score game. 7-6 was your final, where Toronto won that matchup. Still going on, 4th inning. You have Detroit and Seattle. It's the bottom of the 4th, and they're scoreless, 0-0. Also in the 4th inning, you got the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. Looks like Diamondbacks are fixing to go up to bat, as they are also tied 0-0. Now, as for tomorrow's matchups, I'm going to read them off, and you tell me what's a good matchup. You got Cleveland and Minnesota, Baltimore and Tampa. You got Oakland and Toronto, Houston and Boston, Cincinnati and Milwaukee. Any of those matchups stick out to you so far?
Well, I think that the Cleveland and Minnesota one kind of sticks out because that's a division rivalry. and both teams are playing really good baseball, and both teams, there's a lot on the line. The Guardians aren't too far ahead of the Twins in the divisions, so you're caught in a divisional race with the top two teams in the division. I think that's going to be kind of a intriguing matchup. I don't know quite yet what the pitching matchup is, but I think that when you have two teams in the same division, kind of fighting for that division title, um, I think that it's going to be a pretty good one.
It should be. Your matchup is against the Royals, Cardinals, and Royals. Uh, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
That's a good matchup just because you know Kansas City and St. Louis aren't too far from each other, travel wise, and so you're you're talking about kind of a road trip series there, a small road trip. Um, so I think that that's another good series because you have two teams that have a couple really good pitchers, at the start of their rotation, and then you have you have Bobby Witt, who's definitely in the MVP race, and then you have Arenado and Goldschmidt, who are two of the top players, the best two players for the Cardinals, and they're still, in my opinion, top 30 players in the league. So for production, I think that you're going to have a pretty good matchup there. I think that. Uh, I don't think there's any in between. I think that you're either going to have some low scoring games or some high scoring games. I don't think you're. I don't think you're going to have any 4-3s. I think you're going to have like either 8-5 or like 4-2s.
All right, it's gonna be like 1-0.
Yeah. It's either going to be under 7 or over 10.
Right. Um, James's Angels are going up against the Nationals. Should be a fun matchup. My Rangers are going up against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. We don't do too well in New York, at least with the Yankees. Uh, of course, this season we haven't been good, but we haven't been bad. But there's been some rough patches.
I
And
think the
then,
Rangers are kind of struggled with the World Series hangover.
yeah,
And then I think that part of it is that there's been quite a few games that I think that the Rangers probably should have won, and um, some weird circumstances or just kind of a weird twist of fate that they ended up losing some close games. So I think that they've been competitive, but I just don't think that they've been given the breaks this year.
I mean, I kind of saw it as, yeah, we'll probably make the playoffs. I don't see us going to another World Series anytime soon, but we'll make the playoffs. A couple other games to kind of keep an eye out. Battle of Chicago, Cubs and White Sox. Uh, Division rivals, at least for the Rangers and the Angels. The Astros taking on Boston, and then also you got Seattle uh, taking on the Mets. So a bunch of good games happening, tomorrow and a couple of them tonight as we get ready for the playoffs. Uh, before we head out, any final thoughts?
Um, no real final thoughts. I think that we're going to have a couple really good divisional races towards the end of the season. I think that the American League Central is definitely going to be one to keep an eye on because you have a three-headed monster right there. The Royals are playing a lot better baseball than a lot of people gave them credit for going into the season, considering that last year they were really bad. um, and then of course the AL West. Anytime you have at least three teams looking for a division title or or a couple on the outside looking for a wild card, things are going to start heating up. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how those play out. It's a little bit. I think that we have some good races going on all across baseball, but I think that those are going to be the ones to watch. So I think that the Twins, one thing that Brendan Herrera has going for him is the Twins are going to be exciting to watch towards the end of the season because they're going to be in a race. So
Yeah, I think any of our teams, are trying to make a push for a playoff spot, and it should be a fun little roller coaster that we're going to be on for the next 2 months, month or two, depending on when you're watching and how many games there are. But it should be a fun little ride. Uh, Thanks everyone for watching and tuning in to On Deck. We will be back next week for another episode. Stay safe. We'll be back next week for another episode. And with that, see you next time.